In this video, I wanted to talk about a recent project of mine that has nothing to do with computers or software development or something like that. It is, however, a thing that presented quite some challenge for me and that I think helped me a lot in terms of my personal growth. This is about my pursuit of acquiring a motorcycle license. It took me over 2 years in total, besides my full-time job, and I thought I might share my experience and some of the challenges I faced, since that might be helpful for others as well. I will also give a detailed timeline about my progress so that you get an idea of what you might expect. In my experience, this is really not something that goes quickly. It really is quite some investment in time and a lot of stuff you gotta get organized. Also, I'd like to talk about what motorcycle I got, my reasons for choosing that particular model, what my experiences were with it, and how I modified it to make it better for me, especially more suited for longer rides. So let's dive right into it. First, what was even my motivation? Why did I want to obtain a motorcycle license? So the background is, I find two-wheeled vehicles exciting. As an adolescent, I rode a small moped, a 50 ccm machine, and other than that, I do ride a bicycle. I've been a passenger on the motorcycle of my father when I was younger. I find all that very exciting, the physics, leaning into corners, stuff like that. And you're much more one with the vehicle than when you are in a car, for example. You're more exposed to the elements, it's intense on your senses, makes you feel alive. And in fact, I don't have a license for a car since a close family member of mine died in a car accident, and therefore I just avoid that means of transportation. Obtaining a motorcycle license has always been on my mind to a certain degree, but in August 2022 I got to know a guy here in Berlin who had a Suzuki Bandit 600, which has a 599 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine with 78 horsepower, and then later a Kawasaki Versa 650, which has a 649 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine with 69 horsepower. And that really triggered the desire in me again and got this back on my list. And since especially recently, there have been technical and also political changes, regulatory changes regarding stuff like autonomous driving, electrical vehicles, or outphasing of combustion engines that the EU wants to do till 2035, initiatives from manufacturers to switch to automatic transmissions, which is probably a preparation for electrification since electric vehicles no longer need a transmission with variable ratio. And of course, the always stricter requirements regarding homologation, emissions, noise, safety. I was somehow scared that I might miss out on the opportunity to ride a motorcycle, at least in the way we currently know it. So that was a point which then really got me going, fear of missing out. One of the prerequisites that you have, at least in Germany, if you want to obtain a driver's license, is that you need to have your vision tested. And the other is that you need to take a course in first aid. So I got my vision tested on Wednesday, 19th of October 2022. It was just a matter of 10 minutes, but of course you gotta get to the place and get back again. And I took the course in first aid on Thursday, 17th of November 2022. And this course took 8 hours. I already had a 16-hour course back in 2005, but that's just so long ago. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been accepted, even though there's no formal expiry date after which you have to take that course again. And let's say the wait to each location was about 30 minutes per direction, so we have 8 hours and 10 minutes of time for preparation and 2 hours of time for travel. And I'm going to sum this up so that in total you get an idea about what kind of effort you may expect. This might sound a bit frightening, you may get through it eventually, but it definitely is quite an investment of time, and it can be really tough to do this when you're working, since basically all of this stuff, also stuff with authorities, etc., will be done during common working hours, since the people at these offices also have their regular working time. So let me tell you, it's quite a mess when you have a job, and you will need flexibility from your workplace when you want to get this done. There really is no way around it. And by the way, In order to obtain the open or unrestricted Klasse A or Class A motorcycle license, you need to be at least 24 years old in Germany, unless you already have the restricted Class A2 license for 2 years, which you can obtain from 18 years onwards and allows you to ride motorcycles with up to 48 horsepower or 35 kilowatts. But in general, 24 years is the minimal age for the unrestricted motorcycle license in Germany. On Monday, 9th of January 2023, I signed up at a driving school which took about 25 minutes to get the formalities done. And that driving school is about 40 minutes from the place where I live, so I add 25 minutes to preparation and 1 hour 20 minutes to travel for the way towards the driving school and the way back. So you see how this scheme works, and we're just going to continue this way. Then the Führerscheinstelle, or for example in UK it's called the DVLA, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, sends you a letter which you then have to hand over to the driving school, which I did on Thursday 19th of January 2023. Actually handing it over only took about 5 minutes, but of course I had to get to the driving school and back, so again 18 minutes for travel. Then I had to take theory lessons, and for the motorcycle license you need at least 16 sessions of 90 minutes each, 12 of which are common for all vehicle classes, and 4 of which are specifically for motorcycles. These are the dates for the first 9. So you can see I have these lessons here in January 2023. The first and second lesson are on Thursday 26th and Tuesday 31st of January respectively. Then the third lesson is on Thursday 2nd, fourth lesson on Tuesday 7th, fifth lesson on Thursday 9th, sixth lesson on Tuesday 14th, seventh lesson on Thursday 16th, eighth lesson on Tuesday 21st, and ninth lesson on Thursday 23rd. Then I went to a motorcycle outfitter since I needed the required protective equipment. What is required are helmet, jacket, trousers, a back or spine protector, boots, gloves, and a kidney belt. I did book an appointment with them. Then one of their salespeople would guide me through the entire process. This took about 1.5 hours, plus about 2 hours of travel, and cost about 1,200 euros in total. And I did it on Monday, 27th of February 2023. After that, I had my next theory lessons. 10th lesson, Tuesday, 28th of February 2023. 11th lesson, Thursday, 2nd of March 2023. 12th lesson, Tuesday, 7th of March 2023. After that, I had all the lessons that were common to all vehicle classes. Now I needed the lessons that were specific for motorcycle, and these were taught 2 sessions in one go in 3-hour blocks. 13th and 14th lesson, Wednesday 15th of March 2023. 15th and 16th lesson, Wednesday 22nd of March 2023. 1 week later, on Thursday 30th of March 2023, I took the theoretical exam, which took about 1 hour and 5 minutes in total, and about 1 hour of travel time to get there and back. Most of the time was waiting time. The questions are chosen from a catalog of about 1,000 possible questions. This also varies a bit. Every now and then a few new questions are added and some get removed. You will train these questions in your spare time at your own pace. This took me about 48 hours in total in the first pass. This is done online and the portal tracks the time. Then I had the practical driving lessons, and at the driving school where I was, each session of regular driving lessons, we will also have special lessons that will come later, is 120 minutes long. And you should be at the driving school at least 15 minutes before the actual lesson starts, in order to put on your protective equipment. The equipment would be stored at your driving school, so you bring it there once and then it will stay there until you pick it up again. Now let's take a look at what sessions I had in 2023. And of course your progression will depend on lots of factors, including the availability of your instructor. In May 2023 I had 3 sessions on Tuesday 23rd, Thursday 25th and Tuesday 30th. Then in June I had 2 sessions, number 4 on Thursday 8th and number 5 on Tuesday 13th. Then in July I had 3 sessions, number 6 on Tuesday 4th, number 7 on Tuesday 18th and number 8 on Wednesday 26th. Then in August I had 5 sessions, number 9 on Tuesday 1st, number 10 on Thursday 3rd, number 11 on Tuesday 8th, number 12 on Wednesday 23rd, and number 13 on Thursday 31st. And then in September we had 4 more, number 14 on Tuesday 5th, number 15 on Thursday 7th, number 16 on Tuesday 12th, and number 17 on Thursday 14th. So up till the end of September 2023, we have 10 hours and 10 minutes for preparational stuff, 51 hours and 40 minutes of travel time, 24 hours for theoretical lessons, 48 hours preparation time for the theoretical exam, 1 hour and 5 minutes for the actual theoretical exam, and 34 hours of actual time on the bike for driving lessons. For the rest of the year there were no more lessons. During the regular lessons you mostly drive through the city, and for the motorcycle license there's an additional set of special maneuvers you have to be able to perform during the practical exam, which you will also train very extensively during your regular driving lessons. The first maneuver is the slow slalom, where you have to slalom through 6 pylons with 3.5 meters in between at walking pace, so approximately 5 kilometers per hour. The second maneuver is braking with highest possible deceleration or emergency braking. You accelerate to 50 kilometers per hour, then in a marked position you brake with highest possible deceleration, which means you go to the point right before ABS intervention starts. You have to brake with both brakes, front and rear tire brake, until you come to a complete stop. The third maneuver is dodging without braking. You accelerate to 50 kilometers per hour, then in a marked position, dodge by at least 1.5 meters to the left and return onto the original course. Dodging may only start at 9 meters before the marked position. Next is dodging after braking. You accelerate to 50 kilometers per hour, then do a sharp brake similar to emergency brake but not to a complete stop. Arrive at a remaining speed of approximately 30 kilometers per hour and dodge in another marked spot, 7 meters after the position where the braking begins by at least 1.5 meters to the left and return onto the original course. Next is the regular slalom, where you do a slalom through 5 pylons with 7 meters in between at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Next is the long slalom, where you slalom through 5 pylons with 9 meters in between, followed by 2 pylons with 7 meters in between at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Next is driving at walking pace in a straight line, where you drive a distance of at least 25 meters in walking pace, or approximately 5 kilometers per hour, without deviating from a straight line by more than 30 centimeters to the left or right. Next is stop and go, where you have to take off, accelerate and stop again multiple times. You have to stop in a way so that the motorcycle leans to the left twice, then to the right twice, and so on. You have to demonstrate that you have control over the direction in which the motorcycle leans when you stop. And the last one is the circle, where you have to drive in a circle with a radius of 4.5 meters, go around 3 times and exit the circle again. You have to choose the velocity in a way so that there is considerable lean angle, and you must not deviate too much from the shape of a circle, and the required radius. For all these maneuvers, there are common rules like checking the mirrors, putting on the left turn signal, and doing a shoulder check before takeoff. You may not stall the engine. Your feet must remain on the foot pegs. The motorcycle I first had for training was a BMW G310R, which has a 313 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine with 34 horsepower, followed by a Yamaha MT-07, which has a 689 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine with 75 horsepower. After the last session in 2023, on Thursday, 14th of September, they told me that the season is over. I'd have to continue in the next year, file another request for the authorities, take the theoretical exam again, complete the compulsory special courses, which are 5 hours on federal roads, 4 hours on motorways, and 3 hours in darkness, and then they'd get me signed up for the practical exam. In 2024, I was at the driving school 3 times for doing formal stuff. On Monday, 22nd of January, Monday, 8th of April, and Tuesday, 9th of April, and then to check my gear on Tuesday, 16th of April. This took a total of 55 minutes and a total travel time of 4 hours, 20 minutes. I also started training for the theoretical exam again, since that is only valid for 1 year, so I'd have to take it again. Then I had my first practical session of the new year on Thursday, 18th of April. From 3rd of May till 9th of May 2024, I had visitors in Berlin. 2 friends were coming from abroad, both with a bike. One with a Kawasaki ZZR 1400, a 1441 cubic centimeter inline 4 with 200 horsepower. The other with a Honda XL 1000V Varadero, a 996 cubic centimeter V-twin engine with 92 horsepower. I went with one of them as a passenger. So I went to the driving school on 2nd of May for about 15 minutes to pick up my gear, and on 13th of May I brought it back. This took about 20 minutes and of course 2 hours 40 minutes of travel time. After that I had my next sessions on Thursday 16th and Tuesday 21st of May. On Thursday 23rd of May I took the theoretical exam again, which took about 1 hour 20 minutes and about an hour of travel time to get there and back. And the preparation time for the theoretical exam was about 24 hours this time. Then I had more regular driving lessons on Monday 27th of May, Tuesday 4th of June, Thursday 6th of June, Tuesday 25th of June. Then I had the first block of special sessions on Wednesday 3rd of July for a duration of 6 hours. Then I had further regular lessons on Thursday 25th of July, Tuesday 30th of July, Thursday 5th of September. Then I had the second block of special sessions on Tuesday 10th of September, again for a duration of 6 hours. Then I had further regular lessons on Tuesday 22nd of October, Thursday 31st of October, Tuesday 5th of November. And finally I took the practical exam on Wednesday 6th of November. Total duration of that session was 2 hours and 40 minutes, of which a duration of 1 hour and 10 minutes was rated for the actual exam. On Monday, 18th of November, the actual license document arrived. Now, the total amount of time I spent on the license was 11 hours and 40 minutes for preparation, 81 hours of travel time, 24 hours for theoretical lessons, 72 hours of preparation for the theoretical exam, 2 hours and 25 minutes for taking the actual theoretical exams, 60 hours of regular practical lessons, 12 hours of special sessions, and 2 hours and 40 minutes for the practical exam. And then you can add another 8 hours and 15 minutes for putting on and taking off the gear. It takes about 15 minutes each time, and I had to do it 33 times in total for 30 regular practical lessons, 2 long special sessions, and then once for the practical exam. So the total time I invested in the license was 274 hours, and the cost of obtaining the license was approximately 7,000 euros. I then went to a dealer on Tuesday, 26th of November 2024, but they said they couldn't offer me a test drive. So I called a few other dealers and finally found one who made an appointment with me for a test drive on Tuesday, 3rd of December. I also got another offer, but in the end, on Thursday, 12th of December, I went to the dealer to sign the contract. I bought a BMW F900 GS, which comes with a 895 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine with 105 horsepower and 93 Newton meters of torque. It's in the trophy color scheme, which are the BMW signature colors white, blue and red. This variant also includes several extras like a tinted windshield, aluminium handguards around the grips instead of the standard ones that are made of plastic, and an aluminium skid plate beneath the engine. Optional extras that this particular bike was equipped with include the keyless system, quick shifter, tire pressure monitoring, and an alarm system. On Thursday, 9th of January 2025, I signed a contract with an insurance company. On Monday, 10th of February, I was at the dealer again to prepare the formalities for the road admission of the vehicle. They also had to do a few things with the vehicle, like lubricating the chain, filling up oil, brake fluid, coolant, do a few tests. On Tuesday, 25th of February, they had everything ready and I could finally pick up the bike. I then rode the bike for quite a while, and of course I did notice a few flaws or hiccups. The integrated navigation and telemetry system is very flaky, so I got a Garmin Zumo XT as a dedicated satellite navigation unit. I also installed a Kato PackTalk Edge as an intercom system in my helmet, which I can use for phone calls, but also for direct communication with other riders with intercom systems. What I like about the bike is that at 219 kilograms, it's relatively lightweight. I like the upright riding position, the rather large wheels and long suspension travel, which is good for comfort during long distance travel. It comes with a 21-inch wheel at the front and a 17-inch wheel at the back, and large wheels get over obstacles better and also make the riding experience smoother. In general, I like that it is so high, since that means you can see far, also over other vehicles, and are also more visible to others. You know, visibility is always an issue for motorcyclists. On the other hand, it is rather narrow side to side, so it has a very sporty appearance and good handling. It also has a very powerful and sporty engine, which has a maximum torque of 93 Newton meters at 6,750 RPM, maximum power of 105 horsepower at 8,500 RPM, and hits the red line at 9,250 RPM. The engine is very powerful and the bike accelerates like crazy. Like for every motorcycle engine, the power band is high up in the rev range, but the engine has plenty of power even outside of its power band. Once you get into the power band, things can get pretty wild and the engine will feel way more nervous and react to the slightest throttle input. One thing that sticks out is that for the amount of power that the engine has, especially in relation to the bike's rather low weight, the top speed of about 220 km per hour is rather low. For example, a friend of mine had a Yamaha naked bike which had just 99 horsepower and 62 Newton meters of torque, but reached a top speed of 270 kilometers per hour. So of course that bike had longer transmission ratios. It seems like BMW chose to make the transmission ratios rather short, and it might have to do with the fact that the tires are only certified for up to 240 kilometers per hour. The F900 GS has a pretty unconventional choice of tires. It has a so-called diagonal tire at the front and a so-called radial tire at the back. Mixing different types and constructions of tires on the same vehicle is unusual and requires additional certification steps, And as far as I know, BMW even stopped the production of the F900 GS for a while until they get approval to put this set of tires on. So tires have been a problem in the design and production of the bike, and perhaps they're the factor that limited the bike's top speed in the end. Another thing that I have to criticize is that the engine sounds rather weak. I think it has more to do with the exhaust system than the engine itself actually, since I actually like the intake sound of the engine. Now I know I'm getting really picky here, but I'm an audio guy, so I really dive into this. First thing that I noticed, and this actually has to do with the engine or the way it is tuned, is that the idle speed of 1250 RPM is rather low. Most current KTM, Duke or Adventure will idle at 1600 RPM, for example, which ain't great either, but it's at least a bit higher. Some Yamahas or Kawasaki's or Suzuki's idle in the 2000 to 2500 RPM range, which admittedly is high, but it sounds good. The BMW F900 GS will already recommend me to shift up somewhere between 3000 and 4000 RPM. One comment that I got from a friend when he first heard the bike was, "Is the exhaust system stock? The bike sounds like a tractor." Well, part of the reason it does is that the idle speed is so low. Notice the idle speed is 1250 RPM. Now this is a 4-stroke engine, so every cylinder fires every 4 strokes, or every 2 rotations of the crankshaft. Since this is a 2-cylinder engine and the 2 cylinders will of course not fire at the same time, you will get about 1 cylinder firing per crankshaft rotation. The firing is slightly irregular due to an offset or 270-degree crankshaft, which gets employed to achieve a good balance or compromise between primary and secondary imbalances or vibrations. But it also increases engine torque, since one piston is always roughly at maximum speed when the other comes to a stop. Anyway, you should hear around 21 Hz being the dominant frequency due to the firing interval. 1250 per minute is roughly 21 per second, and feel about 21 exhaust pulses per second at the end of the exhaust pipe. However, when you actually count the pulses or analyze the spectrum, you will notice that exactly double the firing interval, or around 10 to 11 Hz, is the dominant frequency that comes from the exhaust system. I suspect that the exhaust system is designed in a way that attenuates the firing interval itself, which is the frequency with the highest amplitude, the most, since this achieves the best reduction in noise levels. The higher frequencies are easier to attenuate, since higher frequencies mean shorter wavelengths, which in turn require structures with smaller physical dimensions to eliminate. The lower frequencies, like twice the firing interval, are harder to attenuate and will then become the dominant frequencies. However, as long as the engine runs at low RPMs, at least it sounds rather smooth. I mean, it sounds pulsy due to the fact that the dominant frequency is so low, but the sound quality of each individual exhaust pulse itself is rather smooth. However, when the engine gets revved and actually has to perform work, it starts sounding pretty harsh and raspy. So you can kind of really hear the pressure peaks. It sounds a bit like a small low displacement dirt bike. To me, the sound is a grave understatement. And I mean, this bike comes with an Akrapovic silencer as stock, from which I would expect a bit more, to be honest. However, I can imagine that it's difficult with all the restrictions in place regarding noise emissions, and, the bike has 2 large mufflers in series. I assume they somehow had to compromise the sound to comply with regulations. Another issue that the bike has is related to range, fuel capacity, and precision of the fuel sensor. The bike is said to have a 14.5-liter tank, 4 liters of which, according to datasheets, should be reserve, so one should be able to use 10.5 liters before the bike goes on reserve. However, when I refuel the bike after it has just gone on reserve, I only get about 6 to 7 liters of fuel in. And of course I do make sure I fill it up completely. So unless the tank actually has less capacity than claimed, the fuel sensor appears to underestimate the amount of fuel left by about 3 to 5 liters at the point where it goes on reserve. Outside of towns and cities, on motorways or state roads, when you use mostly the highest gear, fuel consumption for me is between 5 and 6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is also a bit more than the claimed 4.4 liters per 100 kilometers, but these figures are always a bit optimistic. The longest distance I went so far without refueling was 270 kilometers, but that was definitely an outlier. Usually around 160 kilometers I'm already deep in reserve and already get quite nervous. So the range is not nearly as claimed. At slow speeds in dense city traffic, fuel consumption will be much higher, mainly due to the use of lower gears, and can get into two-figure numbers in liters per 100 kilometers. So efficiency in city traffic will be very poor, but that's likely the case with most large, high displacement motorcycles. They're designed for motorway speeds and long distances and will have very poor fuel efficiency in city traffic. I hope this was not too much of criticism. This is a great and especially very powerful bike, but it certainly also has its flaws, especially regarding its electronics. I already had the bike on a few longer trips, one in spring, which was around 750 kilometers. After that trip, it had its first inspection, and I got a few more things done on it. Got a dedicated sat-nav system installed, a luggage system, and also the higher windshield. And as I mentioned, I got a communication system installed into my helmet. And then I went on an extensive vacation in summer where I traveled around Europe with a few other bikers joining and leaving at certain points. And I covered about 2,800 kilometers on that trip in 11 days, so about 1.5 weeks. It was really fun and it used the motorcycle the way it's supposed to be used. And I gotta say that the bike really excelled on that trip. It works really well with the luggage system. The third-party sat-nav works well, also for planning longer routes. Performance is spot on, handling is razor sharp. It works good on regular asphalt roads, but also on forest roads and trails. The luggage system works great. Cases are easy to attach to and detach from the bike, and the capacity is good. The case on the left side of the bike has enough capacity to store a helmet if it's otherwise empty. I really liked that bike and enjoyed the experience. Thank you.